Hi, my name is Doug Miracle with Westar Energy. I'm the Operations and Maintenance Superintendent at Gordon Evans Energy Center. On March 26, 2008, Gordon Evans experienced its first OSHA recordable accident in nearly 3 years. The following video you're about to see is a reenactment of not just the incident, but all the conditions surrounding the incident that were actually causal factors in allowing that incident to happen. You'll see comments from supervisors as well as the actual employees and what they believe they could have done different or better to keep that accident from happening that day.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mark. Larry Freeman left you a work order for the turbine.
Okay. Where's it at?
It's in the box. Yeah.
Well, it was just a typical day coming in on operations. The CRO on hand at the time told me that the mechanical supervisor had left me a work ticket to remove some bolting around the crossover on LP2. We both went up there and surveyed the job site. They had already pre-staged some tooling up there for us, mainly a high torque wrench and some sockets and other assorted hand tools.
These are the multiple components of the hydraulic wrench setup. You got your pumping unit, you got your controller, you have your wrench, socket, retainer, and hose.
Crossover on LP2 is leaking, so we need to get it, some of the bolts busted loose, so in the morning they can do a pick on it. Came back down into the control room here, discussed it with the other employees that were on hand at the time, and went over our pre-job briefing, filled that out, and I went ahead and got a phone call for further instructions from the mechanical supervisor. We went back up there, my helper and I. We started to remove every other bolt on the outer ring. We used a high torque wrench because they were a little tighter, and we had a pretty good system going. We'd gotten about halfway around. The reaction arm came up against the point on an adjacent nut that we'd already loosened, and I reached down there, spun the high torque out of the way, grabbed the nut, turned it over. The high torque was activated, and I had my thumb in a pinch point.
This particular incident, there were 4 causal factors that were identified that actually led to an employee getting his thumb smashed. The first one of those was complacency. In our particular industry, it's very important that we stay focused on the task at hand at all times. And that particular day, the employees allowed themselves to be complacent and take their mind off of what they were doing. The second causal factor is lack of a procedure. What we like to have is a good work package in an employee's hand before he goes out and sets eyes on a particular job, and that should consist of at a bare minimum a procedure that is a detailed explanation of step by step what he'll actually be doing. And one of the key ingredients that was missing in that procedure was communications. Should have been addressed as far as the employees were working, what exactly they would be doing and how they would communicate to each other what they were about to do with the repeat back system in place, so that there was no misunderstanding as to the intent of either employee involved. Also, lack of an operator's manual. The equipment, the high energy wrench that was used, also known as the high torque, has a detailed operator's manual that accompanies it, and that was not available to the employees. Had that been available to the employees that day, it's something that they could have reviewed, and it might help them stay focused and then also establish that form of communications prior to them setting foot on the job.
I think looking back on it now, there are several things that could have been done to avoid that accident. Communication was the key, and I truly felt like that my partner and I had good communications going, but somewhere along the line we had a breakdown.
As far as things that could be done to prevent it, I think both parties understand that the machine is de-energized and it's safe to move. not operating the switch unless you've got full clarity that it's ready to be operated by the other individual. I think it can be done safely working two people, but it's very important that communication stays at a perfect level, and you just take your time and go one step at a time.
As a supervisor, I would stay over and do a pre-job briefing with all the employees involved. Better communications between all parties involved would have helped eliminate the possibilities of the accident.
We don't typically work repetitive very often. In this case, there was 48 bolts that we took down, so I think I'd be make a little more aware that the repetitiveness of this job, how we can get relaxed, and how we need to keep our guard up, especially using a high energy wrench such as a high torque. I would make the procedure of running a high torque available, include it in the work package.
Hopefully from this video we were able to point out some of the key things that are involved in properly planning a job, such as having the supervisors involved in the planning stages and then being present, whether it's verbally or over the phone, to conduct a pre-job briefing and to be able to guide the employees through the process. One of the things that we wanted to point out also was the amount of people that can be involved in a particular accident like this in the planning stages that could prevent the accident from actually happening.